The restaurant was alive with sound. Soft conversations, the clink of glasses, the hum of a violin weaving through the air. Yet in my mind, it all faded into silence. The chandeliers glowed above us, their light bouncing against polished silverware, but none of it mattered. The only thing I could hear were her words. Jason can't. My career comes first. The ring in my hand caught the light, glittering mockingly as if to taunt me for believing this moment would be different. She didn't meet my eyes. Her gaze stayed fixed on her napkin, twisting it in her fingers like it held answers she couldn't give me. My chest tightened, breath shallow, but I stayed still. I wanted to ask why she had led me here. Why she had spent years whispering promises of forever into the dark, only to shatter them now. Yet when I finally opened my mouth, all that came out was a quiet, steady okay. I slipped the box back into my pocket, pushed my chair back, and walked out. I didn't turn to look at her. The silence that followed me out of the restaurant stayed with me for days. I told myself not to see it as betrayal, that maybe Emily was being honest, that her ambitions were greater than marriage, and I couldn't fault her for that. But deep inside, I knew it wasn't just ambition. Her decision hadn't been uncertainty. It was final, absolute. Certainty like that doesn't arrive in a single evening. It builds, it festers. We had lived together almost 2 years. Shared rent, groceries, laughter, arguments, and dreams. But suddenly, I was standing outside her life as though I had never belonged to it at all. Within a week she packed her things, saying she just needed space. I believed her. Foolishly, I gave her that space, waiting for her to call, to come back to explain. Instead, space turned into silence. Calls went unanswered, messages read but ignored. One night, unable to resist the weight pressing down on me, I drove past her new place. Her car was parked out front, lights glowing from the window. But beside hers was another vehicle, a sleek black Mercedes I didn't recognize. My chest clenched. I tried to convince myself it could be anyone, a coworker or friend. But then, through the lit window, I saw the shadow of a man move across the room. In that moment, denial cracked. Still, I didn't confront her. I wanted certainty, something undeniable. For weeks, I carried the invisible wound while the world carried on around me. Then one evening, over drinks with a friend from her industry, the truth was finally handed to me. His face was tight, uneasy, as he slid his phone across the bar. On the screen was a photo of Emily in an elegant cocktail dress, her hand resting against the chest of a man in a tailored suit. His arm encircled her waist, the gesture more than professional. It was possessive, intimate. They weren't hiding. "That's her boss," my friend muttered. And just like that, the puzzle clicked into place. Every late night at the office, every networking dinner, every vague excuse, it was all for him. I couldn't avoid her any longer. I went to her apartment, knocking hard until she opened the door. Surprise flickered in her eyes before it faded into discomfort. "Jason, what are you doing here?" I stepped past her, refusing to be dismissed. "We need to talk." She closed the door softly, her voice low. "This isn't a good time." "No, Emily. It's the time. Tell me the truth. How long?" Her arms crossed defensively. "Don't do this." "How long?" My voice cracked, but I pushed the words out. At last her shoulders sank. "Since before the proposal." The room spun. The confession struck harder than any blow. "So while we were building a life, while you were making promises, it was already over for you?" Tears filled her eyes, but whether they came from guilt or simply the discomfort of being caught, I couldn't tell. "Jason, I didn't plan it. It just happened. He believes in me. He's helping me reach where I want to be." I laughed bitterly, hollow. "So you sold us for a promotion?" She didn't answer. Her silence was louder than any explanation could have been. That's when I understood. Betrayal doesn't explode all at once. It lingers. It seeps into the quiet moments, the sleepless nights, the questions you keep asking yourself even though you already know the answers. Standing in that apartment filled with remnants of what used to be ours, I realized I couldn't fight for someone who had already made her choice. I turned toward the door. She called after me, "Jason, wait." But this time, I didn't stop. I walked away. The weeks after were brutal. Grief came like waves, Unpredictable, overwhelming. I'd be making coffee and suddenly find myself crumpled on the kitchen floor, unable to breathe. Friends told me I was better off. My parents assured me time would dull the pain. But healing felt impossible when everything, her scent on the pillows, her forgotten mug in the cupboard, still tethered me to her. I deleted her number, blocked her online, tried to erase her from my life. And yet, at night, I still dreamed of her hand in mine, only to wake to an empty bed. Months passed before I saw her again. I had stopped at a cafe downtown for coffee, and there she was seated at a corner table with him, her boss. She looked thinner, worn, her laughter brittle and forced. Our eyes met across the room. For a heartbeat, everything froze. Then I saw it, regret. She dropped her gaze quickly, slipping her hand off his arm. For the first time, I felt nothing. No anger, no pain. Just freedom. Because in that instant, I finally understood. She hadn't left me for her career. That had only been the excuse. She had left because she was already gone. Already betraying me before the words ever left her lips. I walked out of that cafe with my coffee in hand, the sunlight warming my face. For the first time in months, I smiled. Not because I had healed completely, not because the scars weren't there, but because I knew the truth. Her choices weren't about my worth. They were about hers.